Coming to you from the Oddball Podcast Studios in New York City. My name is Vin Forte, and you're listening to Oddball with Vin Forte. Go follow the show over on Twitter at Oddball Podcast. Follow me over on Instagram at Oddball_pod. The biggest one, of course, YouTube, youtube.com/@Oddball Podcast, youtube.com/@Oddball Podcast. And go rate and subscribe over on Apple, Spotify, apparently iHeartRadio. I don't know. I was checking the back end today in Libsyn, and they were like, oh, here's all your feeds. I was like, all right, cool. For the 3 people out there who've ever listened through iHeartRadio, thank you. I don't know. But let's just get right into it. I don't like to come alone, and this week is not going to be one of those exceptions. Love having this man on. He hasn't been on in a little while because he's been very busy working for Anscape, ESPN, the one, the only. You know him, you love him. Martenzie Johnson.
Yo. How's it going?
What's going on?
Just preparing for the NFL draft, the WNBA season, NFL training camp. This shit never stops. But I'm having fun, enjoying things. The NBA season's almost over. The playoffs are going on. It's a good time to be watching the sports. I actually watched some of the Masters.
Really?
So
the Masters?
Yeah. Don't ask me who won, but it was pretty contentious towards the end. Bryson DeChambeau, I think is how you pronounce his name. He shit the bed, so that was fun to watch. The guy who ended up winning, like someone was in second place who was like maybe 1 or 2 strokes behind him, and the other guy who was in second place got birdie, and I was like, okay, here we go. And then again, I cannot remember the guy who won his name. Then he had a birdie too, and I was like, okay, well, he decided he ain't fucking around today. So that's a little bit of golf that I watched, but all around just a good time for sports, and the work continues. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, well, you mentioned football. It is going to be football season. I guess this is going to be a nice little entree into football, even though it's not the NFL specifically. Breaking news this morning. This man, if it ever loads on screen on you, there we go. This man, Reggie Bush, got his Heisman back. Shockingly, this is something that they've been petitioning for, but not even petitioning for, but just openly, collectively yearning for. I think we all have for about 15 years now since he got it taken away. Especially now with all the NIL deals going around, people are like, "Come on, give him the trophy back." Like, what are we doing here? Now, immediately, I'm already hearing pushback from people who are like, well, it was still a rule at the time and he broke the rule. It's like, I don't buy that. Like, sometimes a story can just be a good story or a feel-good story. And I feel like that's what this should be. Like, it's a bellwether of something more important that's going on with college sports right now.
Yeah, and those people who would say that, I haven't been on Twitter that much today, so I don't know what the scuttlebutt is about this. But anyone who has that opinion, that means you're siding with the Heisman Trust and NCAA, and that makes you the police because there's nothing justifiable about the trophy being taken away in the first place. I was doing a video earlier this morning. I said, I don't even know why Reggie gave it up. Like, what were
I think it was either they pressured him. It was one of those, which is the thing that we all have to remember.
Take it.
No, but that's also the thing we have to remember when people even throw that argument out there about, oh well, he did the crime, so he should get do the not time, but get the repercussions of it. It's like we're talking about kids here. We're talking about people in college who are getting big time opportunities, and a lot of times it's the coaches and the staff and these colleges that are coming out to give them the money. Like, they're not getting this money out of nowhere. Like, someone's setting them up to get the money.
Yeah. Yeah, it's any pushback on this is especially for, I guess, the timing of it is like, well, what's happening now doesn't apply to 2005 when he took the permissible benefits or whatever you want to call it. Sure, but like it was wrong then. It's just the Supreme Court didn't decide until 2021 that it was wrong for the NCAA and by proxy the Heisman Trust to penalize people for getting paid for their labor outside of the school system, right? So it's still against NCAA policy for the schools to pay these athletes. But now, obviously, with NIL, you can get it from or Beats by Dre or whoever the hell. And I just because a rule changes doesn't mean that the rule initially was morally right? Like we knew in 2005, like it shouldn't matter if USC or whoever wanted to give this man some extra stuff to get him to come. Quite honestly, I don't know why Reggie Bush needed anything extra to come to USC. Like you're living in Southern California, you eventually date Kim Kardashian. Like I think he was going to go there anyway, so he didn't really even need the extra stuff. But no, man, I'm of the opinion that I don't care what the record books say, and they still say that because obviously this is the Heisman Trust and not the NCAA. I don't care what the Heisman people say, and I don't care about what the NCAA people say. He's been the Heisman winner of 2004 this entire time. USC won the national championship in 2004. They didn't vacate 14 wins. Like, there's no asterisk. There's no any of this stuff. Like, he won these things. This stuff happened. And outside of him being on steroids while he did it, like, I don't see how getting extra, like, and mind you, all this is about a couple $100,000 worth of shit, right? NIL now is giving these kids millions of dollars, and we're tripping about what benefits like Reggie's parents got, right? So yeah, anything short of him using PEDs, like I don't want to hear nothing about stripping him of anything. Like, no, Reggie's been the same person to me this entire time. But again, my original point is I don't know why Reggie gave it up. Like, they weren't going to come in here with the fucking National Guard to take it from him. So why even give them the satisfaction of handing it over? F them is what he should have said back then. And honestly, once he has it back in his possession, which I think he did this morning, say F them again, because they should have never tried to take it in the first place. And you're not now on the right side of history, Heisman Trust. Not to mention, O.J. Simpson is still a Heisman Trophy. Well, he don't possess it right now, but he possesses still at some point. So I don't want to hear nothing about no Reggie Bush.
Well, that was the other point that people were making, is that, they still kept O.J. Simpson. They put out a whole tweet basically celebrating him after he died as a Heisman winner. But Reggie Bush, however people feel about O.J. Simpson, the fact is Reggie Bush not connected to anything like that, and he had to get it taken away.
Yeah, I correct people now whenever they say this. I learned this in 2010 in the communications law class. Then you cannot defame a dead person. So you can say Reggie didn't kill someone like OJ did, because OJ definitely killed someone, and you can't get sued for that because he's not alive.
There you go. Can't fight back if you're not alive.
You learn something new every day, Vin. Yep. Say whatever you want about a dead person. There's nothing they can do.
Oh, I never liked that. And when people go, oh, well, you can't say bad things about dead people. What, are they going to hear it? What are we talking about here?
Yeah, I mean, I guess now is a safe time for people to say it, but no, OJ killed those people. Anyone still on the fence about that? I don't know what else to tell you. You had the 90s to figure this out. You had OJ 30 for 30 to figure this out. You had the Hulu show to figure this out. OJ did that shit. I don't. What are we doing here? Like, it's stop trying to be contrarian. That man did it.
Well, what we're doing here to answer that question.
That you didn't think it was going to go that direction, did you? When you brought up Reggie Bush.
No, but well, there's no segue that can get us to this next topic. So we're just going to jump right to Caitlin Clark. We talked about it in the pod last week, but I focused last week more on the WNBA draft and how it was up 300%, and had 2.5 million people watching. And this idea that everyone's piling on and going, well, okay, they're going to get an initial jump in viewers, but, this hype has got to die down eventually, right? They're going to come back down to earth. And it's like, yeah, are they going to probably come back down to earth? Yeah, to some degree. But it feels like there are people out there who are like rooting for the WNBA to fail
Yeah.
openly in a very
Yeah.
roundabout way. And I think they're putting a little too much pressure on Caitlin Clark specifically because she's the number one pick, but also everyone in the clay, Paige Beckers, Angel Reese, like even people in the league right now, like Angel Wilson, like they're putting all this pressure on these women to like save the WNBA. And it's like it's not going to happen overnight. There's still a lot of things that need to fall their way that need to happen over time. And it's been a really great, let's say 4 or 5 years right now, ever since basically coming out of the pandemic. Uh, but it's going to take more time. And I think people are putting a little undue pressure on these women. I want to get your thoughts on it.
As far as the first point of coming back down to earth, like, I mean, this has nothing to do with Caitlin. Like, we can see the ratings going up for women's for the WNBA over the last couple of years. You can look at finals ratings. You can look at just regular season ratings. Like, everything was going up anyway. Now they're going to jump because of her, especially given how many national games that the Fever are going to have this season. So yeah, it might, spike and then go down a little bit, but no way is it like, let's say it was like 9 million people watching, and then initially it's going to be 15 million and it goes back down to 13. Like, there's still growth, right? I don't see this being just a one-off just because of one person. Do I think, as far as like, is this too much? Like, no, man, this is how growth happens.
Yeah, let them
Both
have
positive. Yeah, like this is the positives of it, right? You get viewership numbers going up, you get ticket sales going up. Your ticket sales going up even more because now they're moving some of the games, including the Fever, to bigger arenas in the same city. So you get all of that. There's actual interest in like free agency in the WNBA more so than it ever been before. Podcasts that normally wouldn't talk about it are talking about. So you have all that good stuff, and like that's gonna come with expectations, obviously. And for Caitlin, I think she does have to perform. Even if she doesn't, that works two ways. It's sort of like the Heat of 2011, right? Where some people are watching because they really love LeBron James, and some people are watching because they really hate LeBron James. Someone wins either way, right? And so you're going to see a lot of that. I will say the too much on their shoulders part, that applies more to the negative aspects of this. So a couple years ago, when I saw this kind of bubbling, and I'm not like some future teller, but like, you can see there's interest building a little bit. And there was a clamoring for, there should be more women's basketball coverage on like the bigger debate shows. There should be more of it in whatever on social media, yada yada. And like, only thing I can think to myself is like, if you've paid attention to how men's games are covered, just from actual media standpoint, social media, word of mouth thing, be careful what you ask for. Like, right? It's great to have more people watching. That means more money and there's more resources. But like, how many GOAT debates you're waiting for? How many rankings of the top 5 players are you waiting for? Like, how many pinning 2 people who aren't even rivals against each other for ratings? Like,
she's not even, she hasn't played a game yet, and they're already comparing. Oh, well, what's going to be like? Is she going to beat Tarasi's record? She hasn't played a game. Let her. Can we not enjoy, and this extends to the NBA as well, can we not enjoy greatness in its time? We have this debate with everybody.
Point. Yeah, and that's my point. Like, you're going to get the equal treatment of the men's coverage, but I want you to understand the men's coverage ain't great. Like,
no,
it's everything you're tired of in talking about the NBA or the NFL or college football or whatever. That's coming to women's basketball too. And you kind of got to take the good with the bad on it. Like, how you get people interested in some of these sports isn't necessarily head-to-head matchups, right? It isn't necessarily, well, I want to see this person play. It's narratives. It's something to debate and talk about. And so when the Fever play the Aces, it's is Caitlin Clark already better than the best players on the back-to-back? You know what I'm saying? Some stuff that seems stupid or trivial, but it's like, that's how you drum up interest. So I will say for this, whether it's the players themselves, the people who cover the WNBA or just fans of it don't get too hung up on what the discourse is, because a lot of it is steeped in sexism. Don't get me wrong, but also sports conversation is just stupid a lot of the time. It makes no sense. It's based off of emotion. It's based off of ego. It's based off of contrariness. Like, people just love to argue and get people upset. Yeah,
it's all prisoner of the moment stuff, because you know what the first debate's going to be the second she gets on the court. It's going to be, like you mentioned, the sort of prequel one is going to be the first time they play the Aces. Can she match up, like you said?
Yeah.
And then after that, the macro one is going to be, well, if she doesn't win a championship in her first year, does that mean she was really legit? It's like, yes, it does mean she was really, unless she's averaging like 2 points a game, like, she's legit. Like, like, what are we talking about? There's no player. What, we've got to go all the way back to like Magic Johnson, his first year in the league, to get someone who was like a rookie that won their first year.
Oh yeah, as far as championship, like even the idea,
Darko Milicic, do we have to drag up Darko and use him as the example?
When as far as individual awards, like I wasn't watching the WNBA back when Candace Parker was a rookie, but when they announced, and whenever I saw it, that a rookie won MVP, like, that was insane to me back then. I don't think women's, men's, we're ever going to see that ever again, probably, but like, that's the expectation is going to be for her, whether it's genuine or not. Like, that's going to be like, should she be in the MVP conversation the second she gets into the league? Now, is it a stupid debate? Probably. I don't know. It's not for me to decide, but people are willing to debate it, because you have probably a bunch of people in Iowa who are saying, oh yeah, she can easily win MVP. She can win. Right. She can be first team WNBA. She can be finals MVP first time out. And then other people who know that she can't do that in the first season, but they're like, she's never going to do any of these things. And like, that's sort of the brilliance of like marketing these leagues. It's like, understanding, particularly for American sports, that people love to argue. People love to not agree with someone else. And the beauty of sports is, like, it's usually one against the other, right? So you can choose this side or you can choose this side. And that's what's going to help build this sport, because that's what's helped build the NFL. That's what's helped build the NBA, is really trivial arguments about who is better and who's remember just a couple weeks ago where it was a whole week of who's going to be the new face of the NBA. Like, that was the thing, because we had nothing better to talk about. But like, also, like, people are watching NBA basketball. You know what I'm saying? So, I would say more so than the good stuff. Like, I think those, again, who play in the NBA, a WNBA, those who watch and those who cover it, like, it's going to seem disingenuous. It's going to seem, again, downright sexist the way people are going to be talking about the WNBA this year. But just know, this sort of stuff knows no gender, right? Like, stupid debates happen everywhere. And that's part of, the beauty of these sports. And now the WNBA is reaching that peak. But to go beyond this, these new media rights deals, expansion, which ain't really for a competitive thing, is really more so more money to bring to the league. But when they grow to having 20 teams, or something like that, right? That's when we're really talking. But you're seeing it, again, bubbling. I guess it's over the surface now, but you see it bubbling. And like, if everything continues to go the way they are, and I have no reason to believe, like, Caitlin Clark's not going to be the best, rookie to come into the WNBA, right? Like, someone's going to be better than her. I mean, Juju Watkins could break her scoring
in
record
like 3 years' time.
In 3 years, right? So it's like, this is just like, it's
a good thing, because it's
a good,
like you say, it's like going from the 70s NBA to the 80s NBA.
Yeah, like, pick up the pace a little bit. Like, we're in a new era of this, and it's a failure. No matter what Caitlin Clark's defenders will say, it's a failure if she's the best one ever after this, right? Like, there has to be someone better than her. Like, we got to keep this thing going. She can't be the only show in town, because we're going to see the ratings are probably going to drop next year, right? But like, that's no fault to the women who are playing in college basketball right now. It's just she's that much of a phenomenon. But no, we need someone better than her eventually, and that's not to hate on her. It's just like, that's like saying, like, I don't know, like Bill Russell was going to be the best. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has to be someone. We have to continue to evolve and stuff like that. So they're in a good place.
Yeah, no, like you said, if Wilt Chamberlain was the best player ever and it just stopped there, it's like, well, what would we even be talking about the past 40 years? It wouldn't even be a league. Yeah.
Nobody like, if Jordan never existed, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be ugly, don't get me wrong, but for the growth of it, I think it's good.
Yeah. And now switching over to the NBA, where, as we mentioned, the playoffs are going on. You see on your screen all your favorite playoff contenders: Jokic, Shaq, Guy Fieri. I don't know where I pulled this graphic from. All here for Dame. Dame put in a good performance.
2 different photos of the Oklahoma City Thunder. So like,
yeah, I don't know how that happened.
They are, yeah. No LeBron. I mean, obviously why Giannis isn't there, but yeah, it's a collection of people. That's for sure.
That feels like the first round of the playoffs right now. That's actually a very apt way to put it. It feels like a collection of people. There's some people who you expect to be in the mix that are out. There's people like Joel Embiid that are just showing themselves to be perpetually injury prone. Teams that on the national level, like the Knicks, that, I mean, I saw the Knicks coming, but apparently a lot of people didn't. And I like Sam Morrell on Lebertard this morning, who was calling out Stephen A., who was basically for that famous clip of him being like, "Who's now? We got some guy named Hardenstein." And Sam was like, "You're not a real fan, Stephen A. What are you talking about? You're a fair weather fan."
Aren't we all, in a sense?
But what do you think of the playoffs right now? I think it's looking like Jokic and the Nuggets might repeat. I don't really see the Suns are not the big 3 that they were advertised as big surprise, but
who advertised that? Because anyone with common sense back in the summer knew this was happening. Like, it's what happens when you get greedy. Because if you have even this version of Kevin Durant and a young and up and coming Devin Booker, that should be enough. And then you fill out that shit around them, right? And hope that a draft pick morphs into something, all-star level player, yada, yada. They rushed it. They was like, no, we need more star power. We need a name you recognize. And for some reason, I can compare this to like the Saudi shows in WWE is like, no, bring us the Undertaker. It doesn't matter if the Undertaker is 60 now. Bring us Kane, bring us Shawn Michaels. Like, we recognize that name. And it didn't matter that Bradley Beal has been injured for most of the last couple of seasons. And it didn't matter that Bradley Beal, like, maybe didn't fit into a system that already had 2 ball hungry players, right? So
right, he's a name. He can score 30 a night.
Yeah.
We got to get him. I don't care if he fits or not. It's like, but if he doesn't fit, then what good is he to you?
Yeah. And but as far as how things are going, I'm just looking at the bracket just so I don't forget anything. As far as the West, I think I don't want to say it's pretty clear, but it feels pretty clear that it's one of the 3: the Timberwolves, the Mavericks, or the Nuggets. I love the Thunder. And this graphic shows that people love the Thunder. But they're just too young. Yeah, it happens. Like, the Warriors lost before they won. It happens. The Pelicans,
right? Ja was out this year, but the Grizzlies were on track a couple years ago. Now it's the Thunder.
Yeah, which makes it like, just imagine this playoffs, right? With that we're seeing right now. That doesn't have Steph Curry in it. That doesn't have Ja Morant in it, right? So we're in a good. That doesn't have Victor Wembanyama in it, right? So the West is pretty good, but yeah, the Clippers, especially after yesterday, no. And obviously the Suns, whether I don't care if they win a game or two, like it's clear the Timberwolves are way better, and then the Lakers kind of are what they are at this point. I'm not surprised by the Lakers either. It's when you'd have to depend so much on both a big man and the 39-year-old in LeBron James, like you're gonna get, the 20-point lead or whatever, but that's not sustainable. Like it's just they don't have good enough of a team. But yeah, it feels like Nuggets, Timberwolves, and Mavericks. The Mavericks are playing defense, which is shocking. Including, I don't know if you watched it yesterday. Luka turned into like prime Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, that was
on defense.
wild.
Yeah. So that makes me a believer in the Mavericks. But when it comes to Nuggets and Timberwolves, that's just going to be fun. And I guess the Nuggets have been here before, obviously, when in last year. So I can give them the nudge there, but it feels like a foregone conclusion. And then on the East side, it's the Celtics, kind of by default. Even the Knicks, like, I don't know. The Knicks are going up against Joel Embiid playing on one leg, and they're missing someone themselves. So I can't. They're a scrappy team. They're way better. And like again, Jalen Brunson, his shooting struggles aside, like he's the real deal. It just so happens that he's like 5'8". But the Celtics are just head and shoulders above everyone else. You notice the team I didn't mention, that being the Milwaukee Bucks. Look, they may pull it out against the Pacers. After yesterday, not so sure about that, but they might do it. But Giannis right now is giving very eerie flashbacks to Kevin Durant in 2019, in that having a calf injury or calf issues all throughout the year. You sit out a little bit and then you come back and then you immediately pop your Achilles. Like this, Giannis has had Achilles, I think, tendonitis all year. And obviously he just pulls up out of nowhere a couple of weeks ago, non-contact. And it turns out to be a calf strain or whatever it may be. But like all those
he's
things
had
are
these issues
connected.
in the playoffs before too. He had in the bubble. He had some issues. He had
I think that was back when he had a lot of ankle stuff. So he had a lot of lower body stuff. But again, an ankle, you can play through spraining an ankle. It ain't gonna feel great. Mm-hmm. It's gonna hurt like hell, but they can probably shoot you up and you can make it through. Your Achilles is just a ticking time bomb. And that's for all of us. And this man just happens to run, jump, and everything better than everyone else. And so I say all that to say, even if he does come back, he's either going to be a diminished version of himself or he's going to tear his Achilles. And so beyond that, the Bucks have nothing. And I'm saying this obviously as an avid fan of the team. But Dame, he just showed all those years in Portland that, I mean, he can carry a bunch of, lesser players even to the Western Conference Finals, but it's a tall task, and he hasn't done that in like 8 years or 6 or 7 years. So he's a lot older now, and it's unfortunate, but every year you watch it, like you said, with the 76ers, every year is Joel Embiid, right? But your player's gonna get hurt. The Nets knew this, your team, from a couple of years ago. They probably could have beaten Milwaukee in the second round, but like injuries happen. And unfortunately, sort of like last year for the Bucks, it's happening to them now. So that's why I'm not big on them, whether Giannis comes back or not. But everyone else in the East, it's laughable how much better the Celtics are than everyone else. So it's like, I feel like it's going to be Nuggets and Celtics, which would be a really good series. But it's only been 2 games for most of the teams, but it's feeling kind of like a foregone conclusion that'll be those 2.
Yeah, it really feels like this is one of those transitional years where again, like some people are out, some old guard, like the Steph Currys of the world. It's like, well, they're not in it because they're doing their own transition right now. They gotta wonder if they're going to keep Clay or not. What do you think of the Clay situation, by the way? Because I hear a lot of debate going on about, well, they really owe it to Clay to cut him a deal and leave him on the team. It's like, I don't know. Like you don't owe a player anything. You owe them the money that they're owed. That's what you owe them. But if you fulfill that contract, like I'm sorry, that's part of the job. Like, they have to do what's best for the team, and a hobbled Klay Thompson isn't really going to get it done.
Yeah. I'm looking now. They're already depending. They're going to cut Chris Paul, but right now.
Oh, Chris Paul's has been a non-factor for them.
Yeah. I think that it's looking like. Yeah, the salary cap is 141 next year, and they're already at 174, I believe, before you even get to Klay Thompson, who's not on this list, obviously, because his contract's expired.
Now this is like a wildly different scenario, but do you think that more players should go the kind of Udonis Haslem route of, okay, you're going to sort of shift into a player coach and then just a coach role? Where I think like that, that could be where Klay could shine.
Yeah. So that'd be advocating for him to intentionally take a pay cut, which
he wouldn't want to
usually in the business of doing. Yeah, because I wouldn't do it either, just like for vibes, right?
Right.
Which I imagine he doesn't want to, because I don't think any of them ever want to retire, and like he's not that old. Like, so he still feels like he can play. He can go take a deal from another team and be absolutely miserable, because we've seen that with a lot of players where they're with one team. Dwayne Wade is a good example of this.
Yeah.
With one team for most of their career, they're like tied to this team, and then they leave, and then they're like Freddie Freeman in baseball. They're absolutely miserable when they leave, because they realize, like, especially because I'm a multi-millionaire, but like the money doesn't really matter to me all that much. Like, I want to be happy, right? So he'll be.
That's why I wouldn't take the pay. I mean, I'm never going to see that amount of money in my life, so I have no idea. But I would like to think at that point in your career, like you said, the money is just like, it is what it is. I'm good for the rest of my life, and I would rather want that sort of, okay, I've been on this. I've been lucky enough to be on the same team my entire career. Let me just solidify myself as, in this case, like a Warriors staple to the end.
Yeah.
And like somehow get into the organization and transition to a new part of my career.
Yeah. And like, I think that's the third option. I don't think he's at veteran minimum territory, but like you should be barely making over 10 probably at this point. Cause like you're not a starter. This season kind of proved that. And the only thing that's going to change for you next year is that you're going to be 1 year older than you were this year. And it's more ground and pound on your surgically repaired knees. You said the money, he's made $266 million. Now, I'm not saying that's reason to like play for $2 million next year, but like if you want to be happy, and it seems like staying with this team makes you happy, and he seems like, as weird as Klay comes across, like he seems like one of the most self-aware people in that entire league. He has to be doing the calculus on, if I take X amount of money to go to this team, I might start, I might get more money. You're probably going to lose a lot too. And then is re-sign with Golden State, but like in a heavily diminished role, because as we saw this year with him getting benched multiple times, like, the Warriors don't believe you're a starter anymore. And you have to come, and all three of those options are available once you have that in front of you. But like again, he seems like the most self-aware. I think he'll just re-sign with them for a very low number. But you never know. Like, I didn't think I'd see Tony Parker playing with the Charlotte Hornets, so anything's possible. Yeah.
No. Well, speaking of anything being possible, get two more stories before we wrap up. And this next one is, you ever wrestle a gator? You ever just get into a habit of wrestling a gator that crosses your path?
Then I'm black. No, I didn't.
Well, well, great. We can move on to the next time. No, this happened in Jacksonville, Florida. MMA fighter Mike Dragic.
Come on, wait. Let me stop you there. Why do you think you needed to tell me that this was in Florida? Like, why did you think I didn't know that? And that has nothing to do with the actual alligator. It's this. This is Florida.
It's Florida. This is what's on their flag. You go see the state flag. This is what's on it.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
MMA fighter Mike Dragic was apparently at a hockey game nearby, saw this going on, and was like, "Oh, I'm gonna take out this gator." His nickname in the MMA is the Blue Collar Brawler. You could have, yeah, Florida, and he, as
Florida.
you can see on YouTube, he's working a number on this gator. There's some guy watching him. I'd be doing the same thing at arm's
Yeah.
length. I'm not going near this gator. What possesses someone, anyone? And again, I know the answer is Florida, but what
Yeah.
possesses someone? You see a gator causing trouble. I don't even know. The gator was probably just chilling. I'm gonna go out and say it. I don't think the gator was hurting anyone.
Yeah. An idiot does this, right? A man with something to prove does this, right? And the best way to
But
explain
what's there
this,
to prove that you? Oh, I fought a gator.
to tell people that he fought a gator, like that's a rite of passage, I assume, in Jacksonville. To explain this in journalism class, what you learn early on is there are stories that matter and stories that don't really, and like some of it comes down to the context of the story. So the example that they use is dog bites man. That's not that interesting story. Dogs usually bite man, a person. Like that's not a big deal.
Right,
Story
man
though
bites
is
dog.
man bites dog. Right. That doesn't apply in this situation. I want to see the alligator bite him solely for the purpose of leave them alone. Like there are professionals that you can call in to handle these things. I imagine. I imagine most of the police budget in northern Florida goes towards the alligator squad, right? Like there's so many of them. Let them do it.
Well, okay. To cut you off right there, let's even give this guy the benefit of the doubt because I'm reading an article about this that doesn't mention this, but I could swear I read in a different article. And let's give it the benefit of the doubt that he's also a trained animal tracker. So he's done this before. Even with that knowledge, if I'm not running away from anything because I saw a gator so I can wrestle him. Like, is that even the proper protocol to like, I'm going to wrestle the gator?
Then this man's head is 2 feet from that gator's wide open mouth. I don't care if he is kin with a gator. That's stupid. And like, I don't know the proper protocol for these. I've heard of a gator roast. That looks like what he's about to give him in the second photo.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not impressed by this. If anything, I want to see the gator bite him. So then now,
well, in the gator roll, I believe you're also supposed to do that in the water, so they roll over on their back and so, like,
yeah,
he's out in the street. He's literally just out in the street with his gator.
Like this man behind him doesn't even seem scared, right?
No,
he didn't even drop his groceries. There's a woman
he goes again
in the background of the first one. No one even seems to be worried about this gator. This man just wanted to fight it.
Have you seen the movie Grizzly Man?
I have not.
Do you know about it? Have you heard?
I have no idea. Okay, no, you're breaking it for me. What is it?
You should watch this. It came out it's a Warner Herzog documentary. It came out in 2005. And it's about this guy, Timothy Treadwell, who was a would-be actor who decided to become a bear expert. And he went out into the Alaskan wilderness, and every year he would spend months out there, basically capturing footage of these bears. And it's like phenomenal footage because he's like going up and petting the bears, hugging them. Like he's like the bear's best friend. And halfway through and basically, long story short, at one point a bear eats him.
If you notice why I started smiling, I opened up the Wikipedia page and got to that very point that you were making. Continue.
Yeah, so the bear eats him, and now Warner Herzog just got all this footage, this amazing footage that this guy left, and he uses it as like a character study of the guy. And the movie opens with a clip of this guy on Letterman, obviously far before he died, and Letterman asked him point blank, he's like, do you ever think that one of these days, one of these bears is just going to eat you? And he's like, no, the bears love me. And sure enough, like halfway through the movie, the footage starts out with just like amazing bear footage. Then halfway through the documentary, you start seeing this guy like snap. Like there's a point where there's these 2 bears fighting in the background. They're like fighting and shitting at the same time. And the guy's like, this is amazing. This is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Like, he's so into these bears. And then this is the only sad part is that when he died, this was the first time he brought his girlfriend with him.
It's
So
not
he
funny. I
got.
swear to God, it's not funny.
I know. It's believe me, you're allowed to laugh. It's how we cope with these things. But so the one time he brings his girlfriend with him, the bear eats them both. Because I guess he brought like an unknown element into. But the whole movie he's talking about how like I love the bears. They know me. Like they're such sophisticated creatures. Like they know that I'm their protector and blah blah. And then it's like, but then you got Werner Herzog in his typical like I'm gonna just cut the mood down to size way. Be like, yeah, that bear just he doesn't look like he's sophisticated at all. He looks like he's just hungry and wants to eat this guy.
Yeah, because it's a bear. Oh,
yeah.
Well, this is streaming on Amazon, so I'm gonna have to.
I was gonna say it's an amazing documentary. Like it's one of my favorite documentaries of all time. I highly recommend you watch Grizzly Man. If this is the first time anyone listening is watching has heard of Grizzly Man, please go watch it. It is well worth your time. You don't see anything like you're like there was footage of him. Or apparently there wasn't footage. There was audio of him dying, and the most sort of chilling part of the documentary is Werner Herzog is listening to the footage of him dying next to like a member of Timothy Treadwell's family, and you hear it. You just see him silently for a minute listening to this footage, and then he's like, "If I were you, I would just destroy this audio. I would never keep it in my house." Like, don't have it be like your white whale, just like there, like teasing you.
I can't imagine the screams. Yeah. Oh God. Well, that's a lesson that he and this person can learn. Is like, it's all good when like you feel like you got the upper advantage, but like just like in a real fight, if this guy's an MMA fighter, like what happens when like you like blow out your ankle halfway through the thing, right? Now,
all of a sudden, the gator's
right?
like, oh, ha ha.
Yeah. Because while you're doing this, tap him to the ground, you blow out your knee. Now, right? So it's like all of which to say, this is stupid. I'm not impressed by this. I'm never impressed by people fighting animals. Except for this one time I saw a guy punch a kangaroo. That was funny. But no, man, leave them things alone. Like they're like gators are like squirrels in Florida. Like you see them all the time. Like, I don't think. He's obviously not even that big. So, like, just leave him be.
No, what are you doing? There's literally no one around. Like, there's people standing in the back. But, like, as far as a radius is, like, there's no one around. Like, what are you doing jumping on this gator for?
Yeah. This is common there. Like, it's just.
Yeah.
Didn't seem necessary.
Well, something that we're going to end on something that's uncommon that maybe will become more common. And that is it time for WWE to start doing something? This man's got some Nike. This man on the bottom, he's not getting his own Nikes.
No, he's gonna get some Under Armour. I just saw someone say, "Is there any Cody Rhodes merch that doesn't make it look like I participated in January 6th?" And like,
nope,
he is correct. Like, you can't wear, especially the American flag portion of it. Like, you're gonna get confused for someone you don't want to get confused for wearing any of that stuff. So you won't catch me wearing any of that. Do I think? I mean, no, not really. Just like in a way, like, I mean, football cleats exist, but like anybody like, oh, let me go get them Tom Brady's. You know what I'm saying? Like it. So the same thing kind of with wrestling, where sometimes it's cool to see the wrestlers like wrestle in like sneakers, but like not to get all old man yelling at the clouds. Like I remember people wearing boots, right? And the coolest thing that you could be as a wrestler was to have on your boots or whatever with the shin guards over it. Like that was the greatest look ever. And you don't see that anymore because we got stuff like really what the Usos do, but and the New Day. But now they're wearing sneakers. I don't like it. Like that's my one probably bad take is I don't really care for this. I want people to be in wrestling boots. It's professional wrestling.
Well, I mean, they could be in the wrestling boots, but they can't. Like if Nike said we're coming out of a pair of like Reigns ones or Bloodline ones, Air Force Reigns, like you wouldn't be curious
if they do. If it's
good?
Not like an issue I would have is if they try to go too cheesy with it. So like compare it to like Marvel movies and like Zack Snyder DC movie. Like I want the more hush DC dark shit. Like I don't need
Yeah,
any
you want a
flashy
big
Macho Man.
goofy
Yeah. I don't want New Day or
a
Macho Man
Thanos, like a
color.
Thanos shoe that's got all
Yeah.
the rings on it and different
Yeah. No,
colors.
I
Like,
want it to be a little more subtle. All right. Like have it like the good example, like the Judgment Day, like subtle hints of black and purple
okay,
in it, right? Something like that. But no, I don't trust collaborations like that to do the right thing. They're gonna go for hot ass pink Bret Hart shoes. And like I don't, it's in theory, like it might be something you put on your mantle, but like I like at this point in my life to buy shoes to actually wear them. And I, you know what, actually, this is a good example. I couldn't get them in my size because they only went up to a 13, but New Day had Fila, I think. Fila. What is it? Fila? Fila?
Fila.
I can never remember how to pronounce it. Fila. They had some of those come out, and I got them. They're like a size 9, so I can never wear them. Maybe my son will wear them eventually. But like even those, even if I could get them in my size, I wasn't wearing those outside. They were like baby blue with hot pink
Right,
and
they
some
look
other
like
color.
bootios.
It's like,
Putting
yeah,
bootios
it
on
was
my
the
feet.
same color as the bootios, but it's like, no, man, I don't want nothing like that. The stuff that Wale was doing, I think, was it with Asics? I think
Yeah.
that was pretty cool.
But see, that's
But
but it all. There's also like a flood in the market of these, like not bootleg shoe, but it's like these boutique. Like not everyone's running out to get the Bootio shoes. Not everyone's running out to get the Wale shoes. There's
yeah,
only like so many of those out there because it's just these specific drops for specific events that
yeah,
half the time aren't even sanctioned by the original shoe company. It's just like someone
yeah.
on some Instagram famous person who paints over
Paint
shoes,
of them, yeah.
like
And
does
why would I?
their
And
thing.
I would never buy painted shoes because like, what's that paint going to look like when I'm walking in them? Because again,
All
I
right.
buy shoes for the functional purpose of wearing them, not to like put on my wall.
Right. I don't need the guy on Instagram who I'm always seeing like dipping shoes in a big bucket of coffee grinds and like
Oh,
I
to
don't
turn them that no, like give me the. I mean, like granted, the quality of your 2024 tennis shoe ain't what it used to be, but like I want to know that when I crease the front of my shoe, like the paint's not going to start peeling off.
right.
And that's the thing with these custom shoes. But I will say, overall, collaboration aside, I've been really liking like Roman is a way better dresser now
Oh yeah.
than he was in his original run. I actually did an interview with him. This is probably 2017, something like that. And I asked him about that ad campaign he did with his daughter wearing hashtag those jeans. And he's like, I thought these were cool. Like I thought this was the shit. And it's so different now from him now, like 8 years later. Because that man don't miss. Like he got his suit game up. He don't wear oversized suits no more. He is, looking dope here in the Nike Tech suit. He obviously has an affinity for Jordans. It's a lot cooler stuff that they're wearing. Now, don't get me wrong. The Rock brought me back to my 90s sensibilities with the Versace shirts.
The Versace vest and
I love it. I
look
wish,
at your
like,
son.
I wish
I'm
wearing
gonna put his
with no
blood
shirts.
on this belt.
He like obviously the Rock's run was great through these last couple of months, but like the fashion, what like only the Rock could wear what he wore for those last couple of months, and like even that shit that he had on for the main event of night 2, which just looks like something out. What's the ice skating movie with Will Ferrell and
what is it? Is it
Blaze of Glory? I
Blaze
think.
of Glory.
I think that's what it's called. Yeah, it looks like an ice skating outfit, but like it's The Rock, so he's like, I rock with it. And The Rock's fashion has been up and down.
He's dressing like a well-to-do uncle, like just coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah, but he taking it back to 1998, 1999, like that was excellent because like it makes you forget what fashion really was like back then. And like it seemed fine when I saw it, but then when you grow older, it's like, damn, what the hell were they wearing? But now as you get older again, it's like I think I could pull off a Versace button-up shirt. That makes you start thinking those sorts of things just because The Rock did it. But again, The Rock's the only one who can kind of do this. So, but yeah, it was yeah. But overall, wear wrestling boots. I don't want sneakers in the ring.
There you go. Words to live by. Words to live by. Wear wrestling boots. Don't mess around with stuff that you're not. Listen, Roman may know Jordans, but the people in WWE know them enough to get them right.
Yeah, you get ankle support. Like, you can't be wearing, low cut shoes when you're trying to run against the ropes and jump off the top rope. You need some ankle support, and sneakers don't give you that. No, at least modern day sneakers don't give you that.
No, if you want to learn more about modern day sneakers, go to follow Martenzi on it. Well, I don't know why I'm telling people to follow you on social media and learn about shoes. Just
yeah.
If you want to learn more about stuff going on Anscape,
yes,
that's
follow me along there.
You.
Yeah. I have something coming for the draft. Well, it's going to be after the draft. So Friday, I have a NFL draft story. And as the playoffs go on, I have some stuff on the NBA, and then, like I said, WNBA starting up. Mystics Media Day, I'll be there on Monday. So yeah, I have a wide variety of stuff that the people can read.
Any radio, TV stuff in the works? Or
we're working on some stuff, but I'll let you know.
There we go. So go follow Martenzi over on social media. Oh, well, where can they follow you? You said what you were doing, but
just follow me on Twitter. Make sure I have this one right. 10Z Johnson on Twitter. I messed up and have two different names on two different apps, so I have to remember which is which. But yes, 10Z Johnson on Twitter.
There you go. If you want to follow this podcast, go do so over on YouTube. If you're only listening, youtube.com/@Oddball Podcast. And if you're watching and not listening, go subscribe over on Apple, Spotify. What were some of the other ones? Deezer. I don't know what the hell Deezer is. iHeartRadio. Sure, why not? Yeah, Blue Sky. I'm sure someone's ripping all the podcast feeds and putting them up there. Don't do Stitcher. I keep wanting to say that. They went bankrupt last year. You're going to find there may be malware there. I don't want to steer you towards that. But also social media, @MightyVin. I also have a Substack that I write on occasionally. There's a new article up there right now about Sami Zayn and last week's Raw and the ever-changing visual presentation of WWE. If you watched last week's Raw, you know what? Go read the article. vinforte.substack.com. The clip is embedded there. Go watch that clip and tell me it's not the best promo/entrance clip you've seen in WWE in many a moon. So go check that out. Again, social media, @MightyVin over on Twitter, @VinForteNYC over on Instagram, @Oddball_pod over on Instagram, and @Oddball Podcast over on Twitter. With all that said, go follow Martenzi Johnson once again. Go follow myself. Martenzi, thank you for taking some time out, as always. We'll see you back here same time, same place next week.